do your guests have something in common, or what is kind of the fil rouge, or every episode is going to take us somewhere completely different?
Yeah, every episode, my plan is to take us around the East Coast as a whole as we travel about. I also really want to grab perspectives from folks that are completely outside of the industry, as you mentioned. I think that a lot of the interviews that will surface for me are going to come from those organic conversations that I'm having in restaurants, not just with the somms themselves or the staff there, but then also sitting down next to someone and what's their journey towards wine and what are they drinking in the glass and what attracts them to that wine in particular.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Masterclass US Market on the Italian Wine Podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Muoio, and I'm so glad you're here with us. This show has been designed to demystify the US market for Italian wine producers. In each episode, we sit down with top industry experts, leading importers, marketing strategists, and trade insiders to decode what it really takes to build, scale, and sustain a successful wine brand in the US. Get ready for actionable insights and expert advice. Let's dive into today's conversation.
Here we go. Hey, Marissa, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can. How are
Okay.
you? Hey, Jules.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Where are you?
I'm in New York,
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Right.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Barbara.
everyone.
I wonder if we can get like the head size is the same, but it doesn't matter. It's already a lot that we're connected
Look at
because,
this.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
of course, I have like four mics and I left all of them at home, so I had to borrow Andreas. But how is everybody?
We're doing well. It's a little muggy here, right, Jules? You would say?
hmm
Yeah.
Definitely muggy, but it's cooled off. We had some rain, so yeah. But it's that New York sweaty summer.
Definitely.
Nice. I'm really looking forward to joining that very soon. But there's like a catastrophe, right? In New York, there was like some parasite pandemic going
Oh
on,
my
and then
gosh.
the flood and the tornado, and then the wildfire smoke, and now it's back to the
A
Yeah,
flood
lot.
watches again or
I
Yeah.
guess
something.
Back to
so.
floods. We haven't had lettuce in weeks.
Oh no.
All right, so this is
I've been eating
actually
lettuce, but I'm just living on the edge, I suppose.
You're right on the edge, right on the edge.
so this Insta Live is going to be kind of short, but we wanted to introduce Marissa Muoio, who's our new podcast host. So, Marissa, welcome to Italian Wine Podcast family.
Thank you.
This is
Thank
actually
you.
the US Masterclass family. And before we get into it, the serious wine questions, tell us who you are, what you do, just briefly, and how
Sure.
you somehow ended up in the world of Italian wine.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Marissa Muoio. I grew up in North Jersey and now I work at NYU. I actually work in the academic support for student athletes, our office here. I come from a K-12 education background. I was a high school, girls' school principal, but I really was bit by the hospitality bug starting when I was 18. I worked in a country club, and that's where really my discovery of wine as a whole and hospitality grew. I'm married to a restaurateur who has 6 restaurants throughout New Jersey. So that hospitality bug continues. I get to dabble creatively outside of my educational spheres into a different realm of education through wine.
Excellent. So, I guess to Juliana and Barbara, you two already know what it's like to host Italian Wine Podcast. Any advice for Marissa before we officially throw her in at the deep
I'm
end?
all ears.
I would say it's great to just find voices with different perspectives. In the industry, we all have lots to say, and there's so many great, interesting people, but it's also fun to kind of look a little outside the box, find voices that have maybe not had as big a platform, or I find that those guests have sometimes had different things to say and don't sound like the rest of the guests and sound a little more unique and interesting, sometimes a little interesting as well. So that would be my advice. Think outside the box.
That's great advice. I would also say just, have fun with it. I think we are already so often having these conversations in our everyday lives, and it really is in that moment. It's just you and the guest. So don't feel pressure, like really just be open to asking them interesting questions to the answers that they give you, and yeah, enjoy it.
Okay. So
Definitely.
Marissa, do you remember the bottle that started all? Like, was there one wine, one producer, or one trip that made you think, right, I need to know more about this?
I was working at a country club. What bit the wine bug for me was Joseph Phelps Insignia wine dinner, actually, that we were
Mm.
hosting. So that initiated as soon as it was my first time really seeing that wood
So
box
it
come
wasn't
out.
Italian,
It
but
wasn't
that's okay.
Italian
We
initially.
forgive you.
And then, so from then I said, what is this world? Because I was a beer drinker, like many and people in their young 20s here. And from then, my beverage director at the time, Raluca Pintia, she said, if you want to learn about wine, come down to the cellar. And she started letting me do inventory with her. And that was the first time she opened up a bottle of Bonfi for me. And at the time, I was a red wine drinker. I was really prone to migraines, and which was really interesting. And I was like, I love red wine, but I get a lot of headaches. What should I try? And she said, I want to introduce you to Italian red wine. And I started drinking, a good amount of it, and never had a headache from then on. It said, wow, that was like the introduction to, I'm only drinking Italian wine exclusively for a long time.
So are you more interested in the wine itself, the people, the stories, of course, the food, you're surrounded by the food, or the fact that every village seems to have its own grape?
Yeah, I think a combination of all things. I come from an Italian American background too. I'm a librarian. Was the start of my career, and
Oh,
I've always
wow.
loved history. And I've gone through several different historical phases, I would say, in my childhood. But there was at one point I was really, really interested in the Etruscans. So once I started dabbling back
Mhm.
into wine and was like recalled some Etruscan literature, I would say I read when I was probably 12. I said, whoa, there's a connection here. And that brought me back to my love of Tuscan wines in particular, and then a lot of travel to follow in my 20s.
So Marissa, like what region are you, I suppose, slightly obsessed, if you will, with right now from Italy?
Right now, I'm obsessed with Sicily.
Aha.
Drinking a lot of Caricante, definitely right
What
now.
is it
So
from? Is it because of White Lotus?
Uh, definitely, White Lotus helps. Certainly, yeah. I think also my wife's palate and profile definitely leans towards some of those nice minerality coming out of Sicily. So that's where we are right now, and also cuts through the humidity that we've been experiencing here over the last month or so.
Okay, great. Listen, so which grape do you think American, in your opinion, should be drinking more of at the moment?
I would love folks to be drinking more Fiano right now. I would love
Aha.
them. Yeah, I think just especially when we're at the restaurants, a lot of women want to drink white wine and they have no idea about Fiano. And when I introduce it to them, they love it. So I would love to see people drinking more of that.
I
Okay.
just got
So,
thirsty when you said that, Miss HOA in the morning.
That's
so I guess Juliana, you're kind of the senior of the group in
At
sense
this
that
point, yeah.
you've started. When did you start? I can't
I
remember.
think I know it was the springtime, I believe, of 2022. So I think it's been
Oh my
4 years.
God. It's
Yeah,
been
it's still
four
Wow.
kind of
years.
like
awesome.
slightly COVID times,
Yeah,
but
you took over
yeah,
from Steve Ray.
I took over from Steve Ray. Yeah,
Yeah.
super exciting.
So
Yeah,
out
a
of
little over four
all of
years.
your podcast conversations in 2026, we're in July now, kind of
Yep.
finishing up July. So far, which one has really stayed with you?
I think one of the conversations that I really enjoyed, especially because his dog was sitting right next to him, was Michael Laudenschlager from Peasant. He is the beverage director at Peasant, but he is also one of the newest critics for Wine Enthusiast magazine. He's reviewing Sardinia and some of the southern regions and some of kind of more of the far-flung Italian regions that don't get as much press and critic attention. But I really liked our conversation.
What about you, Barbara? What was your favorite episode recording in of 2026 so far?
Okay, I hope I have this right because my my days and years really blend together. But I really enjoyed talking to Shadia Alame, who is the
She was hard to get
portfolio.
to, huh? But
Yeah,
I had flagged that
world's
woman for
busiest,
you. Yeah.
really busy. But she was so fun to talk to because she didn't really necessarily come from a wine background at all. She just came into this because she loves wine so much and she loves Italian culture so much. So it was so beautiful to hear how that's translating into her choices for the portfolio for Skurnik. And then I also really enjoyed talking to Vincent Morrow, who's the beverage director of the hospitality group that owns like Union Street Cafe and all these big spots in New York. And it was really interesting to hear how to consider working with a group that has the power to buy for so many, restaurants that move through products so quickly.
I suppose, did any conversation go in a direction you were not expecting, like a total surprise?
Not necessarily. I guess I have yet to be shocked
Yeah.
this year, but every conversation is warm, and I learned something from it. So no shock value yet, but something great to come out of everyone.
And who made you think like we definitely need a part two?
Like I said, I think my years might be blending together here, but I really felt that way about Courtney O'Brien, who is expert in branding strategy. She worked for Gallo and Coca-Cola and Evian. So her background is, she has this wide breadth of background of building brands and building consumer awareness. So I would love to talk to her again.
Listen, and can you tease out a little bit of who your the future guest will be?
Yes. So today, after this, I'm interviewing a woman named Jill Seitz, who's really kind of an expert in the non-alcoholic wine market right now. So we'll get a nice update on where that sits. I feel like it's evolving so fast, and I'm trying to nail down a date right now with Jackie Strum. And I'm so excited to talk to her because I love all the writing she's been putting out lately. And yeah, it'll be great to get her perspective.
So let's get back to Marissa, our newly acclimated podcast host. Let's talk guest.
Yeah.
How did you choose your lineup, and what's going on? What is your strategy?
A little bit of everything. Certainly, so folks at some of my favorite restaurants and Sam's across New York. Also looking at some of the buyers too, across New Jersey and some of the areas around the East Coast that I've traveled to. So looking forward to doing an episode coming up. I was just down in Charleston, which has an incredible wine scene, a thriving wine scene. As a result, I think of some of those bachelorette parties that are happening down there. But met some of the wonderful folks that are running their wine bars down there too. So, and a new restaurant that's an Italian fusion had a dish at OK Donna. Have you been down there recently? It was incredible. Pimento cheese with ricotta and
I think I
awesome.
have to go down there because I'll be there actually for a long period, not always in New York, but I'll be there from the 8th till the end of the month. So maybe at some point I can come and check out your restaurants and meet some wonderful people.
Yeah, we'd love to have you at Porta.
Do your guests have something in common, or what is kind of the fil rouge, or every episode is going to take us somewhere completely different?
Yeah, every episode, my plan is to take us around the East Coast as a whole as we travel about. I also really want to grab perspectives from folks that are completely outside of the industry, as you mentioned. I think that a lot of the interviews that will surface for me are going to come from those organic conversations that I'm having in restaurants, not just with the somms themselves or the staff there, but then also sitting down next to someone and what's their journey towards wine and what are they drinking in the glass and what attracts them to that wine in particular. So looking forward to bring those conversations. And then also I had a period of time writing for Jersey Bites around wine. And that was another introduction in my 20s to where are Italian grape varieties growing in New Jersey as a whole. And there's one winery in particular down in Cape May, which is the southernmost part of the state, called Turdo Vineyards. Again, Italian-American background. And they're growing Sangiovese and Grillo well before those names even came really in suburban New Jersey. So I'm looking forward to chatting with those folks too about their history and how they bring that and those varieties to New Jersey and really promote that within the local wine scene as a whole.
Marissa, like you're thinking about talking to producers, importers, somms, educators, retailers, kind of a full mix of wine personalities. Is that correct?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. And I guess which episode do you think like you're planning so that the listeners are going to talk about it afterwards?
I'm really interested for folks to tune into an episode I have coming up with Brittany Abel. She was a former director of Great Collective, which has a location in New York and then also a
Oh yes,
location
it's
in
with
Upper Montclair.
the dude with the mustache. What's his name?
Yes, yeah. And I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about. Now she's
Chris.
at
Christopher. Yeah.
and now she's at Gary's Wine
Christopher
in
Barnes.
Madison. Chris Barnes, yes,
Yeah.
and they do a lot of work with Joe's Seafood, which is fun here. But now she's actually at Gary's Wine in Madison, which is one of the largest importers of Italian wine in Jersey. What I think Brittany's going to bring to the conversation, or what she will bring to the conversation, is just a really wonderful understanding of where the suburban market and buyer and then what the palette and profile is looking at in this area, in this metro area. So and also coming from two markets, Madison and Montclair in New Jersey, which are really, they're still drinking wine and drinking quite a lot of it. So I'm excited for everyone to be able to tune into that.
Now the rapid fire question to
Perfect.
all three of you. I'm going to ask you the same question and then we'll go clockwise, like Marissa, Juliana, and Barbara. Okay. Question number one. You each have a different style. What do you think you bring to the microphone that the others do not? Marissa.
I am outside of the industry. I'm industry adjacent, but outside of the industry, I think I'll bring a perspective of who loves wine and who loves to drink it, and what are people drinking right now in their glass, and where should we be steering them towards?
Excellent. Juliana.
I've tried to tap really into the community I have in the industry. That's what I love about the podcast, is like bringing on friends and colleagues. So I hope I try to bring that kind of like familial, friendly energy. I mean, I can't say that's unique because my two co-hosts definitely are also great in that regards. But I try to bring a lot of friends into the network and into the community of the Italian Wine Podcast.
Okay, Barbara.
I think because I live in Italy part time, I understand kind of what confuses the Italians the most, or what they have the most anxiety about. So I try to bring that in. But then again, like everyone else, like Juliana spends so much time there. Marisa, I'm sure you know a lot too since you're Italian American. So yeah.
Okay. The next question. What are people in the US most curious about when it comes to Italian wine right now? Marisa.
The quality of it. I get and definitely having conversations in restaurants about the quality of Italian wine and how does it compare to the French, unfortunately. So those are a lot of the conversations that I find myself unfortunately in, but working to reverse that narrative.
Okay, excellent. Juliana.
I think Southern Italy, like started by the Sicily trend. I see people really excited about Southern Italian wines, especially Sicily, still from the consumer lens. Like they're excited, especially white wines. I think people are drinking a
Mhm.
lot more white wine and they're learning more about Italian white wines beyond Pinot Grigio and like the classics.
Barbara.
I'm going to plug my dear co-host Juliana's efforts here in her last position, but Lambrusco, it's like everywhere all of a sudden, and the fun and the chillable reds and the sparkling. So yeah, way to go, Juliana.
Okay, excellent. What is one Italian wine myth you would happily retire forever? Marisa.
Barbara, it's so funny you brought that up because mine's Lambrusco. I have a case to stay at home, and I've been pouring it for anyone who comes over. I'm like, please, let's change this narrative around Lambrusco. So thank you for your work, Jules, on that.
I tried. Well, geez, Marissa definitely stole mine. So I would try to change the narrative that it's confusing. I think people are like, oh, there's some, especially sometimes in the trade, you hear that like, oh, Italy's so complicated and complex. And sure, there's a lot of diversity, but let's flip that and say there's discovery, there's exploration, and not make it seem like it's a negative aspect that there's so much to discover in Italian wine.
Okay, Barbara.
Yeah, I would say this idea of bitterness, and bitterness being a bad thing. Like, brined olives are bitter too, and they're delicious. So it's kind of just finding the right setting, maybe the right whether it's the place that you're in or the food that you're eating it with. Italian wines have wide diversity.
Okay. And lastly, what kind of guest is still missing from the Italian wine conversation?
That's a good one. I'm going to jump in. I think I would love to interview some producers as well. I had the pleasure and privilege to get out to Tuscany, but probably about 6 or 7 years ago, right before the pandemic, and had some one-on-one time with Andrea Cantucci and Montepulciano, and got to tour his residence, got through the winery, and I know right now he's really importing pretty much exclusively on the West Coast. So I am jealous, Barbara, of where you are, but I would love to be able to interview him and talk about how do we break in more on the
Well,
East
Juliana
Coast.
is an importer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a guy for you, Jules.
Yeah.
Perfect.
For
Let's
sure.
talk.
Don't be
Sounds
and don't be
interesting.
jealous. That's maybe the one wine we get more than you do. You guys get all the good stuff
You
over
get a lot
there.
of good stuff.
The rest of
Definitely
it comes
better.
in my suitcase.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good stuff. But yes, definitely, I would love to add a few producers to my lineup.
Okay, Juliana.
I think with everything that's happening right now in the three-tier system in the U.S. with the RNDC news and effectively them going away and all the shakeup in the three-tier, it would
Oh
be
my
very
God.
interesting. Yeah, it's pretty seismic and it's gonna change the industry in a huge way. I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot of ripple effects over the next few years. So I think we need to understand how that's going to impact, Italian wine as well. So hearing from whether it's more sales driven executive at Southern, at Reyes, at Breakthrough,
Johnson.
but John's, yeah, some of these major distributors, I think would be really compelling and interesting to hear their take on what's happening right now in the industry.
Can you interview the distributors? Because, you're kind of in a very holding pattern for the importers.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're at T. Edward and a different size and level. We sit more in the mid tier, and I
Yeah.
feel good about our position right now for the market in that way. So yeah, I mean, they're in a different level than us, different.
Okay. Alrighty. And Barbara,
Sorry, I was thinking about what Juliana said. What's the question again?
the question is, what kind of guest is still missing from your
Oh, yes,
from the
sorry.
Italian wine conversation?
I would love to talk to more younger consumer or younger professionals in the industry. I think, there's this, it's like Gen Z isn't drinking. Okay, Gen Z is drinking, but they're drinking differently. And it's like these headlines that come every day. And I think we should just talk to them and stop talking at ourselves about them.
Okay. So for the very, very last question, we're going to do a sound cloud. So I'm going to ask the question and you guys just say what comes to mind. Are you
Okay.
ready?
All
All
at
at the
once.
same time?
Yeah, all at the same time. Who is your dream podcast guest?
I want to talk to someone in the Lunelli family because I'm convinced I am the largest consumer of Ferrari in the US.
Okay, that's easily arranged. Okay. And did you say something, Marissa?
I said Chase Sinzer. Chase has several restaurants in throughout the city. The fun fact is that I actually was a year behind him in elementary school, a very small Catholic elementary school in Cedar Grove, and he most recently opened Stars, which is getting a lot of acclaim as a wine bar here in the city. And I would love to have Chase talk about how he's really building a new wine culture throughout New York.
Okay, great.
I'll throw a wild card in there. I want to talk to Mary J. Blige about her wine
Yes.
project from Italy. It's not new, but I'm just curious how she ended up making like Ramato wines in Friuli and what drew her
Well,
to Italian wine.
what's
Sun
his name?
Goddess.
It's a Fontanelle.
Okay, that's her partner. Yeah,
Yeah, it's Fontanelle. We can make that
cool.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Also, I'll
great.
throw one more. Raekwon from Wu Tang because he loves Lambrusco,
Mm.
so he would be
Yes.
another
Okay, all
really
right.
fun guest for the
Okay.
podcast.
Okay, so before we wrap up, Marissa, what can we expect from your first episode?
So my first episode is with the head Som at Cisiamo, as Sylvester
Oh, ci siamo.
and love Cisiamo, love
Great
that onion
restaurant.
tart. And Sylvester's awesome, and I love that he was a Division One athlete too at St. Peter's University. That'll make a little highlight in there too. But I love his career and how he got started into the wine industry. So I'm looking forward to having that episode come up so you can hear more about Sylvester's background and how he really works with his staff at Cisiamo and educating them. And Barbara, to your point, how is he educating the young professionals at Cisiamo about the world of Italian wine and what's really really resonating with them to be able to push those bottles on the floor.
Okay, and with that, we're going to good luck to you, Marissa. And
Thank you.
you have now you've met Juliana in person. She
Yes.
comes and goes very fast. But and Barbara, hopefully you guys will meet each other also at Vinitaly USA, which will
Yes.
be happening on the
Definitely.
26th and the 27th. Italian Wine Podcast is a media partner, so you'll all be involved in some way. We just have to figure out what and how. Okay,
Looking forward
so
to it.
let's keep
Awesome.
in touch, and I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to listening to your first pod, Marissa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stevie. Thank you,
Welcome
Jules. Thanks,
again.
Welcome
Barbara.
to the
Thank
family.
you.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Take
Everyone.
care.
everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
see you
Ciao.
soon. Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you so much for joining me, Marissa Muoio, for today's installment of the US Masterclass. I hope today's discussion gave you actionable insights to apply to your brand, strategy, and business in the American market. Be sure to check the show notes for relevant links, resources, and guest info, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To discover more episodes or connect with us on social media, head over to ItalianWinePodcast.com to stay up to date on all things Italian wine, trade, and market strategy. Until next time, keep pushing your brand forward.